Hey YouTube, it's your boy Widgie here, coming at you with some more Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition, and today I give you my first impressions of the Ethiopian civilization recently released on the African DLC. Now, before we start off, of course, I'm going to be mentioning about the balancing issues and potential overpoweredness of this civ and also the Hausa civ as well. But I'm just going to break down my first impressions, my first 5, 10, potentially 15 games of this civ, and what I think the pros and cons of this civ are, and what I think needs to potentially change for them to be more viable, not more viable, but to be a better sort of all-rounded sort of civilization. So I hope you guys find this video interesting. Please let me know down in the comments below your thoughts of the Ethiopians so far, and if you've played them. And without further ado, let's get straight into this video. So guys, what I want to talk about is first the sort of learning curve of the civilization. So it took me a good 5 to 10 games to try and understand the mechanics of the Ethiopians. So of course they get a monastery every time they age up. You have the Abans as well that will step around the mosque and will gather coin at the same rate of villagers. And of course you have the marketplace as well, where you can sell cattle for food, for wood or gold. And the more you sell, the lower value you get, and you have to wait for that value to build up. So it's sort of like a basic supply and demand market. So I think initially it's kind of scary, it's quite daunting, but once you get your head around it after 5 to 10 games, it really sort of starts to show how crazy this civ is, and also how easy and forgiving it is for macro as well. So for example, if you're not macroing correctly and you are a little bit off, you can always have that sort of cattle to fall back on and sell to help your macro out and adjust. So I think it's quite forgiving in that way, the civ. It sort of handicaps you a little bit if you're not too experienced with making sure that your macro is correct and your villagers are correcting the required resources that you need to either age up, to make units, build infrastructure and stuff like that. So that's my first thing. Second thing is the units themselves. Now, I think there are a few units that need to be addressed and are a little bit too overpowered. So the first one obviously is the Gaskanya. So the Gaskanya is the heavy infantry, the musk type unit that throws a spear and is relatively good at cavalry in melee combat as well. I feel like they don't get punished enough when skirmishers go up against them. Of course, skirmishers are their natural counter, but I feel like if you push in Age 2 with Gaskanyas, then even if your opponent has skirmishers which should counter you, it just doesn't seem to be that punishing. So I think that definitely needs to be addressed. And that sort of moves on to my next point, which is the whole Age 2 rush sort of timing attack that I start to see on the ladder. And I just feel like this rush is just too powerful at the moment, I feel. Especially with a majority of players around my sort of elo level, which is around 1100-1200 elo. I feel like the majority of players sit around there, average to above average. And, having such a powerful rush like that can be extremely difficult to defend, especially when some of the units are quite overpowered, especially like the Gaskanya, which I've just mentioned. Of course, you have the 9 cannoneers that you get out as well, and that combined, you can mass units up so quickly. And the fact that the Gaskanya are food and wood as well, it means your macro is a lot easier. And you can obviously, because you're macroing for food and wood, you can always build a couple of houses if you start to get overpopped, and you don't have to move villagers around as much. So I think it just seems to be a little too easy to be able to mass that size of units in the early amount of, or in the shortest space of time that you have. So I think something definitely needs to be addressed there. And I feel like as well, normally with a well-balanced civ, if you do commit to a rush and it doesn't work out, you're at an extreme disadvantage. So you're right on the back foot. I feel like with the Ethiopians, I'm not entirely sure with the Hausa, because I haven't really played them that much, but with the Ethiopians, I feel like if the Age 2 rush fails, you still have that economy behind you. You have your monasteries, and you have the ability to sell cattle if it's still there for either wood or gold. So I just feel like you still have that economical backing behind you even when you fail a rush, which is kind of crazy. That doesn't really work in my opinion. If I play Russia and I go ahead and rush an Age 2 and it fails, I feel like at that point I've really got to try hard, otherwise it's GG. If I haven't done enough damage, it's over. I don't have any chance of winning the game. And I feel like that's not the case with the Ethiopians. Of course, we see other playstyles. We see the Fast Fortress or the Semi-FF with the big boy mortar, the big fat mortar that comes out that you get from your home city. Of course, that may need to be addressed because that does an insane amount of area damage. It's obviously an extremely slow unit, but I feel like if you micro well enough, it can be extremely hard to punish. And once again, I just fall on that whole, that the timing attack of this civ is extremely strong, and I just think it's a little too strong. But, you know, if you want to get a few extra 100 elo on the 1v1 rank ladder, I recommend that you use Ethiopia, because at the moment, if they're not going to patch it, if they're going to take a while to patch it, if you want to get up on the ladder, I suggest you play Ethiopians right now, and you either go for the age 2 timing push or you go for some sort of semi-FF, because that's pretty much the way I think they're going to be played, and it's really hard to counter against. Now, obviously, I'm not talking, when I'm talking to you guys, I'm not really talking to the real top end players. I'm like the top 20, 30 players, maybe top 50 in the world. I'm talking around my sort of level, you know, where the majority of players sit. I feel like it's extremely difficult to be able to defend against them and to actually win games. But as I say, I want you guys to let me know down in the comments below what you think of the Ethiopians, what you found difficult, what you found easy when you first started playing them. And if you found this interesting and you agree with what I say or you disagree, whatever, please leave a like if you did find it entertaining. And of course, you can catch me streaming on Twitch at Twidgy1. I won't be streaming for the next week or so because there's a there's a specific closed beta out at the moment which I'm currently playing. So let me know in the comments below what you think and whether or not you think I should be trying out the Hauser, because I haven't really had any chance to even play that civ. So let me know down in the comments below. All right, have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video or the next stream.